Hello, everybody. Gail Craft here from the Empowering Process podcast. Thank you for joining me. I have with me Sandra Adeyeye Bello, and she is the founder of Money Women International. And we're going to have a conversation around growing up with trauma and how she woke up and how her life has changed. And now she's on a mission to help women become independent. Welcome, Sandra.
Thank you, Gil. Thank you. How are you doing today? You look vibrant. I love the color.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, I'm doing great today. Absolutely great. So we've been trying to get this recording happen because the connection from
Mhm.
where you are in South Africa, is that correct? To here for some reason,
Nigeria.
Nigeria, even nicer, um, is I don't know, is not that great, but we'll do the best we can to get this happening. So
Yes.
let's just jump right into it. So, you grew up in a household where, there was trauma and there
Yes.
was um disempowerment of women as being normal, right? You got to witness it, you got to experience it. So talk a little bit
Yeah.
about through a child's eyes, what it was that you were seeing and experiencing.
Hmm. Okay, so let's take a trip back to several years ago. Um, my own father, my mom was married, and my dad died. And in Africa, in Nigeria precisely, it's almost like the success or the failure of relationships hinges on the woman. So for whatever reason, if she's not married, if she's not under the covering of a man, it feels like she has done something wrong in her life. She has failed in her life. So I think that was a prayer point for my mom, and she finally got, connected to this person. And, the relationship started like, I think it was, I don't know how it started. We were introduced to some new man in our lives, and well, the relationship took off. It was almost, I think, 2 or 3 years down the line, was it up to 2 or 3 years before we started to feel, the heat. The first time it happened, it was a shocker for me. you know, I cannot tell you how I felt, but it was almost like, what's going on? Like, that's the first time ever I would see it happening. I had never, I had never seen it. It's always been on screen, and most times on screen, some of these scenes are censored, right? So you don't even get to see what's going on. But I saw my mom being beaten like a full grown adult, you know, being beaten, punched in the face, thrown across the places, kicked. It is, it is not something I wish anyone to witness. It is traumatizing. It's taken me several years. I won't tell you that, hey, it's it's out of my system. Now that I understand mental wellness and being a professional, lay counselor myself, I understand that you don't just it's not a button you just press and say, hey, delete, and it goes away. No, it doesn't go away. I have learned to live with it, and it's not a good. Yes, I cope with it, right? But it's not a good memory for a child of, I was 8 years old the very first time I saw that happen. I was 8 years old, and I cannot tell you. I don't even want to know who was wrong or who was right in this matter. But as a child, I got to see that, and then it continued for years. I can tell you, and then now I understand that I'm a secondary survivor of that. You know, that violence, domestic violence. Now, as a child, it just wasn't right. It just did not feel right. And so most times when I had some time with my mom, I would ask her, why do we stay? Why don't you leave? Because She's crying almost every day. She's praying for him more than she prays for herself. She's more concerned about his well-being than even her own children, her own self. Yet I nursed her injury. I saw her flesh being pulled out from her skin, right? And I would be the one to put water on fire, come with some cloth, and then, massage all the muscles and then help her. These are some of the sights that I grew up seeing. And this is several years now, and I still feel this horrified. You can imagine what it felt like living through it, right? It's not something that I willingly want to just go back through, but that's my story. That's my life. I can't throw it in the trash can, right? And I use this story to encourage every woman because the truth is this happened several years ago, but guess what? It is still prevalent in our society today. Today, and the same challenges that my mom went through, and the same question that I asked my mom as an 8-year old, you know, why do you stay? I still ask a lot of women today. And the response is almost still the same. Oh, who would love a plus two? Okay, so when we say plus two, it is almost like they count your children after you. So for me as a woman, my value comes from the numbers of children I have. So when I have value as being a wife to a man, then I now have children, they respect me even more. Then when I am done, probably the man is done with me and he throws me out of the house. Now I have to start thinking about who would love me, so it's always been one step. I don't know, one step behind. When you think the woman is making progress, oh yeah, now she's celebrated for this, there is another hurdle to climb, there's another hurdle to cross, so she stays, because hey, that's the only way she will get respected. No matter how much she knows, no matter how much she brings to the table, no matter how much she does in the society, it still comes back to, is she a man's property? Is she living in a man's house? Was she able to keep a man? These are some of the questions that I grew up hearing in my community, my society. And today, people are asking me why I'm called a different woman. Well, it is because I challenged the status quo. I kept asking, is this the much I can get? Is this it? I feel like there is some world outside here. I feel like there is so much more than this. I rebelled. I was not ready to accept that norm as my reality. Oh, I saw my mom suffer and she was just one of the lot, right? She's just one of the lot. I saw other people, aunties, sisters, a lot of people, and it just felt like everyone was covering their shame. Like, hey, don't talk too much about it. Don't worry. Keep praying. That was the norm. Keep praying. Pray for him. Don't worry. Things will change. Your own is not the worst. Men are like that. A lot of these things we just, and then when you ask her, what happened to your face today? She will tell you, oh, I hit my face on the door.
Right.
Tomorrow, oh, I hit my hand on the bathtub. The life just kept going round and round. And then I feel like, is this the life? Is this the life for me? And that's why I challenged the norm with my initial name or nickname, the different woman. And that's my story from where I started from.
And so now you have a business that you've created in order to empower women. And tell
Mhm.
me a little bit about how that even happened.
Oh, okay, so a lot of people, my story might be a little different from the norm because a lot of people will tell you they knew what they were getting into. Oh, they prepared for it, they planned for it. But hey, I fell into mine. I fell into mine, really, because um, earlier on, I just knew that there was just something off about my scenario, and the only way I could express myself was through writing. So I started to write. I started to tell stories of sheroes, So you would see me paint stories of a lot of pain. Oh, this woman went through this, and then hey, she was able to do this. I was creating solutions through my stories, right? So I was the stories, the scenarios I saw in around me, my reality. I turned them into stories, and then I created the solution through the women in those stories. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I just felt like that was my escape. That was my escape. I just knew there was the world should be bigger than that prison. The world should be bigger than that, hole where I was. So I was painting a galaxy through my stories. And um someone found me along the way. When I was searching for international competitions, poetry, fictional competitions, and so on online, a lady found me and she gave me my first writing job. And that was to write on radio. Yes. The day I heard my characters come to life on radio, I was ecstatic. I was, yay! That was the first time I was like, yes, this sounds like I have a medium, I have a platform to share my message. That was the first realization for me ever that yes, my message can get to more people, people beyond, because initially it just felt like, oh, I was reading my stories and, I would just ask my classmates at the time, do you want to read my new story? I just wrote something new. Oh, my classmates were, they were my first audience, right? And they would give me feedbacks. They loved my stories. So whenever I was done writing, I would just come and announce I have a new story, and then they were always bidding, to read those stories. But beyond that classroom, I had audience listening in to the radio, and they loved my story because this woman did. She showed me the analysis of people, the analytics of people, tuning in every Wednesday at that time. They would tune in to hear these stories, and then I was like, now I have a platform. And then I had not gone to university at the time. I was still in secondary school. So I finished from secondary school and I was sure about what I wanted to do. I was going to go to school and study theater arts and mass communication because I would use that platform to share, to tell the world what I have seen. I wanted more people to hear, more people to understand. Then I went on to school, and then the ripple just happened to be downward spiral. Like I just went down that hole again because I went through another crisis of now I'm out of the house. I now met more predators. I experienced rape, molestation, people taking advantage of. So I went down that spiral again, and I was like, "What's going on with me?" I would tell you that I almost forgot my message. I almost forgot my message. But yes, I always still had um that pain in my heart, but I didn't know how to go about it. And then I went to school, I finished from my service, and then I opened this Instagram page. At the time, Instagram, it's not what it is right now. We just wanted to share anonymously. I didn't want people to know it was me. I was just, I just created a small page and I started to share my story. I started to write. I didn't know where my community came from. Women started writing to me in my DMs. They didn't know who I was. I was a young girl, but my stories were so deep. I was sharing my stories about myself, my mom, the things I saw, because the little details count. You know, you don't know what it is until you wake up at night from her shrills and she's not even close to you. She's not even close to you, but you hear her shrill, and then you jump up, you wide awake at night. That's how tormented I would say. I would use tormented because yes, but let's say traumatized, right? So that's how deep that pain was. I would just, come up at night and it's her voice, the shrills of as though today she would take her last breath. And every day I woke up with that fear. So even years after, I still woke up with the same fear. So when I started to share my story, it was not too, far fetched when other women started writing in, started saying, this is like my story. This is like my story. This is like my story. that gave me the boldness to finally start to do the Instagram live.
Right.
So I would do the Instagram live and then I would say, come and share with me, come and share with me. And the community began to grow. But then I realized that it got more depressing for me because learning about the struggles of other women, my own struggles, what I wanted to do was to share, what was to shed. Because I realized that once I started sharing, it was lighter for me. It was easier to feel, to go through the next day. But now I was taking in even more because more women were pouring into me and I didn't know what to do with it.
You
So
were
I
taking on their
encountered.
pain as though it were yours.
Exactly, exactly. So I went through this phase and I started what we call the WEMPA program. I called these women and I said, hey, I might not have been able to help my mom at the time, but the same question you all, when you send me your DMs, the same question I ask you is the same question I've been asking my mom for years. Why do you stay? And your answers are almost the same. Where do I go? Who would love a plus one, plus two, plus three, plus whatever your children are? And where do I start from? So here I am trying to give you a where to start from. Can we start to save up? There is a little tradition we have here. I think the general notion is piggy banks, but we have a smaller one here in Africa where we call them the osusu akawo. Where women put monies together for little projects, right? So probably you're saving up for Christmas when you will be able to buy bags of rice, um, oil to cook, and some spices and all of that, right? So they save up for that. And then I said, why don't we, you know, bring that model into today's world and look at a way that we can, save up for not just something that we devour, something that we eat and then it's done, something that depreciates, right? Like our shoes, our bags, our clothes, and every other thing that we spend on. How about we translate that into owning properties? And that was where the very first When Power program was born. And I didn't even know anything about, I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I just wanted a solution. And I felt like, yes, once a woman is financially capable, because at the end of the day, it comes down to where do I start from? And I realized that even in my mom's story, in my mom's life, she didn't have the money to move. She didn't have the money to take the decision she wanted to take if she wanted that decision, right? She was completely dependent on her partner. And so whatever she got dished, she just took it, right? So that has always, it shaped my mindset towards relationship and every other thing about life. Dependency in turn hurts, the other individual who is really dependent. So for me, this opportunity gave me an opportunity now to rally these women that were now in my community and say, hey, I know that you might not want to do this because hey, when I started the story, when I started telling them about this When Power program and saving up to buy landed properties, guess what? A lot of women came up, I cannot own land in my own name. Yes, yes, yes. A lot of women cannot. The Nigerian, the African mentality right now does not allow women to own properties in their names or whatever. They are breaking that now. We're breaking through all that those walls now. But in the initial, when we started, a lot of women were scared because oh, what if my husband gets to discover? Oh, can I own properties in my name? Oh, what if this? What if that? And then I said, hey, we're not planning for the worst, but it's better to prepare for the rainy day. Even if you do not use it for anything, can you say bye for even your daughter? You can hand it over to your daughter. You can do this. So I rallied a lot of women and I said, yes, let's start this. Yes, a couple of women bought into it. We started the Empower program. We ran it for over a year, close to 2 or 3 years. And that program empowered over 50, close to 100 women with landed properties in Abuja, Nigeria. Yes. But in the long run, a lot of these women sold off because their spouses got to find out they bought properties without their permission. Because some family issues, whatever, a lot just kept on happening. And I felt we need a lot of financial education as women. When we talk about investment, it's not just for now, it's about thinking about the future. It's about, you know, preparing for, you know, being ready to move when something is wrong, when something um you don't need to, it's not about a trade, it's not trading. Investment is different from trading, right? So I had to start to break it down to the smallest bits for a lot of women because it just felt like, okay, let me just put my money there and then later I'll take it out. You know, a lot of scare around the thoughts of investment because it is a man's thing. It was left for the men to do. Or when you do that, you're seen as too forward as a woman. So a lot of that just happened. And while that was happening, I came across the training for lay counselors into my mental health as well, because I know I was taking in a lot. So I wanted to invite in counselors, hey, come in, and so on. So the One Power program was on one hand, and then we were doing I was taking the course for becoming a lay counselor, for a mental health lay counselor. And then that was going on. And when I finished, I saw a blend. I saw a way to blend my profession and, you know, speaking about mental health, women's financial independence, women's empowerment. I utilized, now I saw a way to merge. Remember, I was writing stories all along, right? Now I could turn the stories to audio, to visual, to pictorial representation. The whole idea was just that blossom, that thing that I was waiting for to do all my life. So I registered my business at that time, and then I started to create beyond the Web Power project. I started to create multimedia, multimedia productions, and also create events that brought women together. Because guess what? Isolation is the fastest way the predator, you know, disempowers his prey. A lot of women do not understand this, but trust me, the moment you get involved with someone and they quickly start separating you, they have a problem with every other person around you. That's the first way they start to disempower you, because you have no one to run to. Now, the shame loop, the guilt loop, you now feel separated. You don't even know where to start from. So, the idea for community was important. I started to build that by talking about the challenges that I had gone through, my mom had gone through, and then other women who permitted their stories to be shared. I utilized my platform to share, wrote stories about them, we did films about them, and finally, we brought women together for different events. But
So,
quickly, I saw that
Sandra,
we,
I'm sorry,
yes,
what would happen if you partnered with a man who would have a similar program for helping men not be afraid of their women becoming empowered?
that would be
That's the
beautiful.
missing piece. So rather
Yes.
than seeing, because I think what you're doing is needed and absolutely spectacular, but
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't it, the purpose is not to break a relationship,
No,
but to enhance the
no,
relationship. Because if the woman
exactly.
is not in fear, then she can bring more of
Mm-hmm.
herself to the relationship. And if the man is not
Yes.
in fear, he can accept
Mm-hmm.
receiving that
Yes.
support or that partnership. I think that
Yes.
because I see what you're
I was
doing. I
coming
love
to
what you're
that.
doing. Right. I think see that as a missing piece. So let's put it out there to the universe. If there are any men who actually have that desire to partner with their spouse in Nigeria and teach other
Mm-hmm.
men how to not be afraid, and it would be phenomenal what could be created.
To be afraid. When you say afraid, I wonder what you mean there, but I won't say it is fear. I think what we need is an education for men to learn how to treat their women right. Yes, the woman is firstly a human being, just like the man.
Hmm.
So I don't see anything to be afraid of. If you are afraid of that person, why did you get involved with that person? Why did you get married to the person? You know, But what we have here is a situation of when a man takes a woman and treats her even less than. I know that people even treat dogs better than humans, but I'm telling you that when someone treats another human being worse than they should be treated, the way that they don't even want to be treated themselves, the things
Right.
that they cannot take, they give it, right? So I don't think it is fear. I think people should learn to respect other people. If we can start seeing each other as people deserving of respect, that's what we are advocating for. That's what I'm advocating for. This movement, I don't tag it. I know that a lot of people have tagged it, whatever, but I don't tag it. I'm not saying we are feminists. I'm not saying this. I am a human advocate.
Right.
And I am a woman, first of all. So I might not be able to speak for everyone. This is my niche, and I have nothing against a man who has his niche as working for men. No problem with that. But I think what we need here is a dialogue. And that's what I have done with my platform over time.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
coming to the fact that we had grown. We outgrew the initial where it was just me. You remember, I wanted to just share my own story
Right.
anonymously. That's why I created my platform. But then when the community started to grow, there was need to improve on what was presented, what we were doing. And I think where we met was LinkedIn, right? So we've grown. I've done a lot of YouTube, I've done a lot of Instagram, I've done a lot of TikTok. And then when you discovered me, I was on LinkedIn, right? So
Right.
we've grown over the years. What we are doing, we have hosted different events now because I have created events where I brought in different men, different women. Let's have a conversation. Now, I know that there is still a lot to be done. Yes, there is, because we need to get this same information, the same awareness that we have today. Because, yes, when a lot of men come in and they sit in, a lot of women have cried on my platform. Audio events where they come in and they're like, the first time someone is listening to them. And men are shocked. How are you shocked when you wake up with this person every day? Well, you're not listening, probably. So we need where how we can have conversations. If men could listen more, I don't know how you would claim to love someone and you hit the person and you come back the next day and you sleep with that same person. And then the next day you hit the person and then you come back the next day too. That's what I'm talking about here. I'm not generalizing. I'm not talking about, yes, there are a few good ones out there. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about what I went through. It
Hmm.
is very valid to me.
Right.
So when I am talking, I'm talking about how I feel and the solution that I am profiling for that same crisis, what I face, what a lot of women still face till today. It is still real. It is still prevalent in our society today. That pain is
Yeah.
still there. So,
Yeah.
what I am offering is the solution to that. And I am saying, well, if a lot of men say, what does she bring to the table? Well, okay, let's answer that and say, now we're getting more women, educated, financially educated.
Well,
Because, like I said, that was
you offer options. If
exactly,
you have options,
exactly.
right? And
Now
now
you
your
get it.
choice,
Exactly.
right? Your
Yes,
choice is your free will choice,
exactly.
right?
That's it. So we're saying now you have these choices because the truth is, once she discovers something is wrong, she should be able to make, either she withdraws and says, okay, if we can fix this, then let's fix it, from a distance, go to therapy. But can everyone access therapy? Can everyone afford it? You know, these
Yeah.
are some of the areas that we are looking at,
Right.
right? So these are
Right.
some of the areas we're looking at. When it comes to making those financial choices, those financial decisions, can the woman make it if she's stuck in the kind of relationship I just told you about? No, she cannot. And that's why what we are doing is profiling, we're creating one, we're providing the resources for women to have, even if it's a skill, even if it's a skill. That is what I keep advocating for any day. And I will tell every woman, have a skill. Yes, you can lose all your money tomorrow and anything can happen. And this is to every human as well. Have a skill. You can lose anything, everything. Nobody's promised tomorrow. Nobody knows what might happen. But your skill can get you through another door and say, yes, I want to pay you for what you offer. That's what we provide. The education.
Right.
Two, the resources. Now we have a growing platform where people are paying attention to what we do. When we have women in here, we can showcase them and say, yes, this is who we have on our board. This is who we have here. These are some of our community members. We point people to you. We point investors to your business. We point people your way. That is what we are offering. That's why I created the Miss Money Woman pageant. It's the first of its kind. So I was like, oh, why did this happen? Why are we always defined as just beautiful? Right? No, we are not just beautiful. We are talented. We are successful. Women are doing so much. But when I go to the bank, you tell me I'm not bankable. That amazes me.
That's
Right?
crazy.
So
Yep.
yes, yes. So I had to. I'm like, yes, we need a platform to showcase more women who have got these things, who bring a lot to the table. And that's why Money Woman International is here today. The resources and then the platform. And most importantly, the community that cheers you on, that tells you, girl, you are doing amazing. Girl, you've got this. Don't forget who you are because most of the time you would forget. You would forget. I have met a lot of talented, blessed women who, when I hear their story, I'm like, do you know what you carry? Do you know who you are? Girl, you are amazing. But she forgot. But she forgot. So she needs those people, her backbones, that her community to tell her, girl, remember, you did this. You
So,
did this. Some days it's difficult to love yourself, but we love you still.
so community to me is my number one value. Community and tribe is my second, right? Because it's in community where we are witnessed.
Yes.
And that, to me, being witnessed was probably the most healing thing that has ever happened. And it's being
Mm-hmm.
witnessed for who I am without judgment,
Yes.
right? And I think that's what, based on what I observe. So I'm not telling people this is what you should do, but this is what works for me, right?
Yes.
Finding that community, and I have, that are men and women that are open and vulnerable enough to just listen and not try to fix it and not try to judge it, but just let me speak my truth. And then I figure it out by sharing it and putting it out there. I can see it for what it is. And I love that you're creating that community because you'll find your personal strength in community to the point
Yes.
that you can leave community and go to your personal life and still have that strength. And that's what happened before, what fell apart before, right? The
Yes.
women didn't have that strength yet. And so gave in and sold their property rather than
Yes.
building it and having the strength and the foresight. Women have foresight, men do not.
Hmm.
Women have foresight. And when you allow yourself to tap into that feminine power of seeing, if I plant the seed and
Mm-hmm.
nurture the garden, the vegetables will grow.
Exactly.
And this is a generalization, so don't, men don't plant the seed. They will hothouse the seed because they want the tomato tomorrow, not in a month.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? Right. And
Mm-hmm.
so women have the patience,
Yes.
right? That's why it's a fantastic partnership when men and women work together because,
Exactly.
man, you take care of what we need today. I'm taking care of what's going to happen tomorrow. And
Tomorrow. Yes.
right. And together we'll build a life, we'll build a community, right? The first book I ever wrote, which is like 13 years ago. That was the basis of the book that men and women,
Hmm.
and it was based on corporate, need to work together in unity. Let the women be women and bring the beauty that they bring to corporate. you're doing the same thing from a different
Yes.
perspective, right? Right?
Entrepreneurship.
It's a
Yes.
partnership, but it's not going to happen when anyone comes from a place of strength. I mean, of weakness. So you're looking to
Of
create
weakness.
the strength in order to
Yes.
choose the
Yes.
partnership or choose no partnership,
Yes.
right? To have those options. I love
Yes.
that's why I was like, no, the recording we had, people couldn't hear what you had to say. They have to hear what you have to say. We need to redo it. So, guys, this is a second or third time we've tried to get this thing happening. This time
Yes.
it happened. So, yay. So you just froze
Mm-hmm.
again, but it's okay. So if people wanted to get in touch with you and learn more, Sandra, how would they do that?
Oh, beautiful. You can reach us via our website, www.moneywoman.org, or just chat me up on LinkedIn. I'm available on LinkedIn for chats. I do coffee chats. I chat so we can talk about the different projects that we have going on and we are planning. Miss Money Woman 2025 is around the corner, so we are still talking and reaching out to a lot of people. Guess what? The beautiful thing about this is while we are still on this, I want to shout out the men who are really doing the work, you know, because when we made the call for Miss Money Woman 2024, which happened in March this year, it was men. Men came through. Yes, they wanted their women to be on the spotlight. Yes, we had more men support us. Yes, we had 90% of women on board, as facilitators, tutors, and
Right.
even the contestants, everyone. It was beautiful. But guess what? We had financial partners from men. Yes, we had beautiful support from men, men sharing our posts to more women, men talking to their communities of women, saying, hey, go here, go here. This is all about women empowerment. So that's what we want. That's what we are about. This is not a war of genders. This is not a me versus you thing. This is about us saying, hey, can we work together? Can you see me? Can you see my contribution? Can you just support me? Ask me what I want. Ask me how we can make this better. Ask me, talk to me. Because I think sometimes, as a communications person myself, I understand that sometimes a lot of the challenges that we go through is because we don't communicate, because we don't talk, because we don't ask, right? We shouldn't just be assuming. Don't assume the other person knows. Don't assume that the other person is deliberately trying to get at you. No. Ask questions, speak, talk. So I have hosted a lot of talks. So I know at this point that what we need is more exposure. We need more awareness. More men need to understand that, yes, if the woman is succeeding, it's no disservice to you. Actually, it will benefit you because we are nurturers. We love. We love. And when we are treated right, everything around us flourishes. Even you, our man, will flourish. So I'm not saying that, hey, what I am doing now, this is not against anyone at all. This is about
Right.
you and I, okay? But I would not fail to say that if a woman is stuck where she shouldn't be, she shouldn't have a choice to leave. No, there is the popular trend of leave to leave. Even if you will get back, even if you will sort things out, I think a space will be necessary. Take that spray, that space, that breather, see yourselves again, and then fix things, come back, have that dialogue, and come back. That's what we are about. And here we are saying more women need to have something to do. More women need to have skills. So any way you can partner with us, collaborate with us, come on this journey with us as financial partners. Yes, we need more financial partners. We're still talking to a lot of people because in 2025, we want to put a cash prize that will be a grant to the winner's business. Whoever wins, her business should get financial support to push her business from this level to the next. That's why she's competing in this challenge. So please come talk to me. I'm on LinkedIn constantly. I respond to my DMs. Yes, I am doing a lot. I'm having coffee chats. I'm having a lot of meetings. And yes, we are all about women empowerment. So if you, as an individual and as a corporate body, as an organization, you believe that we need more empowered humans. Yes, I would leave it at humans, because yes, everyone deserves, this. But I am a women's advocate. So I would say, if you believe that more women need to be empowered financially, because we cannot sweep this under the carpet. I'm sorry. The issue of gender pay is still a problem. We're still talking about that till today. Women are getting far less pay than their male counterparts. This is our reality across borders. It's not an African problem. I saw recently something that cheered my heart. Um, Gail, I'm just putting this out there, and I hope that more men can pick on this, because this is important. Yes, I saw something on LinkedIn, and I want to celebrate that team. I cannot remember their name, but the male team decided not to accept a pay raise, until the female team got pay raise. Yes, that is the kind of thing we want. That
That's
is what we are talking
fantastic.
about when we talk about, yes. It was beautiful to read. I didn't know when I teared up. I was like, yes, more men are getting it. More men are understanding. How did they do it? How did they pull a full team, to reject the increment in their pay? Something as important as money, right? You just want to take it and leave. But they said no to that, and
Right?
insisted that the right thing should be done. And the women got an increment. And they said that's the first in maybe how many years? So I championed that, and that's what we are putting out here. That's what we're saying. So if you're coming on board, if you're a man, please, this is what we are talking about. This is what we are that this is my message. In a nutshell, this is my message. More women should be empowered financially. So if you believe like I do, send me a DM. Let's talk on LinkedIn. There is so much we can do. There are a lot of projects lined up, but yes, we cannot do it without finances. Of course, we know that's the thing that makes the world go round, right? Yes, we need you. Yes, we do need you to be part of this. We cannot do it alone. I'm not saying I want to do all of this. I can carry the whole world, on my shoulders. No, I'm not saying that. But we need more people that believe, that this is important. And
And
then
it
you come
is.
on board. We welcome you.
And
Yes.
it
Thank
is.
you so much, Gil.
Thank you, Sandra. And thank you, everyone, for listening to the Empowering Process podcast. If you like this, please give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please put it in the comments. We'll get back to you. And if you know someone who could benefit from this or give us a hand, please do share it out. And as always, please do subscribe so that you know when the next episode is available. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Empowering Process podcast. Be sure to visit Gail at gailcraft.com to learn more about how she serves thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and goal seekers. And remember, if you like this broadcast, be sure to share and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.